Hey everyone, welcome to 7.4, question 27. So here we have a company that doesn't currently pay dividends. The company will start to pay dividends starting at 50 cents at the end of year 3, and it'll grow it by 10% for each year for the next 6 years. Now after the 6 years of growth, it will fix its dividend at $1 forever. If we want a 15% return on the stock, what should we pay today given this future dividend stream? Well, sounds like we definitely need a timeline for this one. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. And I've colored it a little bit just so we can see. Hopefully we recognize that there's actually three different payments models going on in terms of our dividends. Now, so if we take a look at stream 1, okay, so stream 1 would be our purple section here. We see that there's actually the price is 0, okay, because there are no dividends being paid, okay. Now, if we take a look at stream 2, and that's that orange area here, that's where we are starting to see dividends, okay, so we're starting at 50 cents, and we have a 10% increase up until for the next 6 years, okay. So in terms of how we got that, just to see that calculation, we start at 50 cents, okay. And we're basically going to add that 10% or multiply by 1.1. And we're going to do that for the next 6 years. Okay, so just so we know where those numbers came from. All right. So once we hit those 6 years, the end of year 10, looks like we start paying a constant dividend of $1 forever. Okay. So it looks like here we're dealing with a perpetuity. So in other words, we have 3 streams. Okay, stream 1 is purple, the stream 2 is our orange section, and then stream 3 we'll get to in a moment is our green section. Okay, but let's take a look at stream 2. So we've already determined price here is simply 0. Okay, for stream 1. Now when we take a look at stream 2, well, we know that it's constant growth, right? And we know it's a finite period. So we can use our formula here to determine the price basically at the end of year 3, or in other words, price 2. And once we figure out that price, remember we need to figure out the present value of that price. So, first thing is let's figure out what we know, or discuss what we know. So we know our rate, okay? That's the overall return. We know our growth rate. Okay, so that growth rate was the 10%, okay, and the rate of return that we want to see on the stock is 15%. Now let's move on to the dividend. Okay, so remember we're trying to determine the price or the dividend, or the price of the stock at the end of year 3. So we know that the dividend payout is 50 cents because that's where we start, okay? So the end of year 3 is where we start the 50-cent dividend, okay? And once we have that, we just need to figure out finally what is our number of periods, okay? So remember, it's the number, in other words, it's what's the length of this section here, or this stream here, okay? So we can count it out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? So in other words, for 7 periods, we have that constant growth of that 10% dividend. Now, once we have that, we can basically we can use this formula here, okay? But I'm just going to break it down a little bit just so that we can see it a little more mathematically. Okay, so we're basically so this part of the equation, okay, so remember when we look at our dividend 3, okay, so that's, in other words, that's the dividend here, okay, so this is dividend 3, okay, and we're going to, of course, divide that by our rate minus our growth, okay. Once we have that number, okay, then we're going to also complete the other part of the equation. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our dividend 3. okay? And we're going to divide it by the difference. Good that the rate is greater than the growth, okay? And we need to multiply that by the rest of the equation, okay? So 1 minus 1 plus g, okay, so our growth rate. Okay, divided by 1 plus r. Okay, and that's going to be to the power of the number of periods. Excellent. Thank you for Excel for helping me solve my formula there. Okay, so once we do that, we can figure out the price at the end of year 3, okay? And that will be, okay, so that's our price. Now, that's the price here, but we need to move that money back to the present value, okay? So in other words, when we move it back, we'll just write a little note here so we know what we're doing, okay? Now, of course, we can use our 1 over 1 plus r equation to the end, but since we have, we're using Excel, we can also use our formula for Excel. So why don't we do that, okay? Recall, we're going to be using our present value formula. So our future value, okay, that's the price we just determined. Our rate is going to continue to be that 15% rate. Now the number of years, again, so if we're here, we need to move back 2 periods, okay? So it's 2 periods, and we can go ahead and use our present value function, okay? I'm going to make this negative just so that we get a positive result here, positive present value. Okay, wonderful. So we know that the price, basically, the value of the stock here, here is $2. So this, in other words, this area here, okay, the value of it is worth $2. Okay, now we have to figure out what's the value of our sort of perpetuity. Okay, so our never-ending annuity payment after that 10 years, okay? Or from 10 years on, end of 10 years on. So let's look at stream 3. Okay, we can get rid of this now. So we're looking at stream 3. Well, remember, we have our equation here for our perpetuity. Basically, it's going to be the price, okay, or the present value is equal to that dividend, right? So the never-ending dividend payment divided by our rate, okay? So if we just use that equation, and we'll just write it here so we can see it. Okay, so this is equal to our price, okay? So, well, we know our dividend is $1 forever, okay? And we're dividing it by our R. So that's $6.67. But again, that's what it's worth at this point. We need to move that money back to the present value. So again, if we count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so it's 9 periods back. So we can set ourselves up just like we did for stream 2. Okay, so our future value is the price we figured out. Okay, the rate is the same as always, and our value for the number of periods is 9 as we just counted. So let's just make that. Okay, so again, we can use our present value function. let's just okay. So the present value of this future payment or annuity due that's never ending is worth $1.90 in the current present value. Okay, so now basically all we need to do is add up the three streams, and that will give us the present value of the entire stock. Okay, so the sum of three streams. Okay, so we have the 0. Okay, plus the present value of stream 2 plus the present value of stream 3. Okay, so the sum of the streams, okay, or the current price is $3.92. Thanks for watching and happy financing.